Alright, so Green Day have came out with their 14th studio album, which I've been anticipating for the longest time. Here's evidence. My wife bought me this shirt about a week ago, I think like a day or two before release day, so that was pretty cool. But before I get into it, I just wanted to say that I was going to do this review a lot earlier, but I wanted to give myself some time with this album because, one, Green Day is my favorite band of all time, and two, I don't want to come off as biased as one probably would when your favorite band comes out with an album on release day. So I wanted to give myself a week to think things over and see if it's, as good as I would hope it'd be, or does it have that much staying power. So today we are talking Saviors by Green Day. So the way this is going to work out, I'm going to do this as a track-by-track review, and then I'm going to give my final opinions at the very end. So let's talk Saviors by Green Day. Really quickly, this is produced by Rob Cavallo, who hasn't produced a Green Day album in such a long time. He produced their most well-known records like Dookie and American Idiot. The American dream is killing me. The American dream is killing me. So The American Dream is Killing Me is the first track on the album, and it's also the main single for this record. What I have to say about this is just, wow, what a return for Green Day. I haven't heard this since Look Ma No Brains came out, and before I listened to Look Ma No Brains, I sort of wore myself out with this song, to be honest. As of the release day, I gave this track another chance. Not saying it was bad, by no means, it's not. It does have its negatives, though, even though this is one of my favorites on the album, and it is pretty refreshing hearing this, after getting so used to Look Ma No Brains and Dmma. So if I have any negatives for this track, it's the fact that TikTok is mentioned in here, which I totally get where Green Day was going for this, and it makes a lot of sense, but it was also like the first time I heard it, I was like, did they really just reference TikTok? And then another thing that I don't like about this track is the line where, for the American dream is killing me. As someone who hates those type of people, and rightfully so, everyone should, you could have just, I also get where they're going with that line too, but it's also like you didn't let that sit very long. And oddly enough, I didn't pick up on that lyric the first time I heard it, They could have changed it to like, we're the worst kind for the American dream is killing me, instead of just blatantly saying we're for the American dream is killing me. But in all actuality, I love the chorus in here. It is very strong. They do repeat it a bit much, but like I said, it's one of my favorite tracks off the album, and I don't see myself getting tired of it anytime soon. And also the part where they slow down at like a minute in, I thought was really refreshing for a Green Day track, and I thought that was pretty rad. It's still one of my favorite parts of the song. And then the guitar solo references Basket Case by Green Day. As much as I've heard that song and I'm tired of it, I thought it was a cool callback to, one of their biggest hits. I just think this song, I wouldn't say is a masterclass in songwriting, but there is a lot going on that just like really pleases my ears. Oh God, I think I'm gonna lose my skull. I said, look, Mom, I ain't got no brains. Look Ma No Brains is the second track off the album and is the second single off the album as well. I remember the first time I heard this, it instantly clicked, and I enjoyed it more than The American Dream is Killing Me. But after hearing it so many times in that Taco Bell commercial, I got tired of this song as well, which thankfully they released Dmma like a month later, and I just listened to that. But yeah, I just heard this song so many times in that Taco Bell commercial, and it got on my nerves, to be honest, but and then I stopped listening to it. I refused to listen to it because I heard it so much in those commercials. But same thing happened with The American Dream is Killing Me. On release day, I enjoyed it a lot more than, I previously did for like the last month or two. But I think this is like Green Day's most pop punk song off the album, and it's like the most recognizable Green Day track there is. It's just this 2-minute pop punk banger that I think hits really well. If you're into older Green Day, this track will satisfy you. It's not particularly dookie. It reminds me more of like the stuff off Nimrod, but it's still a pretty good track. Do you wanna be my girlfriend? Do you wanna be my boyfriend? Bobby Socks is the third track off the album, and is the 5th single off the album as well, which, I think this is Coming Clean Part 2, which technically this song is written through Billy's perspective and his wife's perspective, so it's not really like an LGBTQ anthem, but he said in the interview, if that's what it becomes, then that's what's going to happen. And I just think the song is really catchy. The chorus is amazing. I love hearing Billy Joe scream throughout the chorus, which, by screaming, I mean like as much as a 50-something-year-old pop punk singer can do. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing like old school Bring the Horizon and stuff like that. I'm just talking about like he's yelling, screaming in the chorus, which I thought was really well done. So if I had like a negative with this track, it's just the lyrics. A lot of the lyrics on this album aren't particularly the best, but Billy Joe and Green Day themselves make it sound good. So like, there are songs where the lyrics don't mean shit or they're not that well done, but they're awesome songs. You know what I'm saying? One-Eyed Bastard is the 4th track off the album and the 4th single to go with the album. And funny enough, this song came out on my birthday, so this is pretty much Green Day's birthday present to me, which I thought was pretty awesome, January 5th. But I refused to listen to it whenever it came out because I wanted to hear as much new Green Day as I could. Everyone heard 1981 back when it was debuted at a concert, and then, we know The American Dream is Killing Me, Look Ma No Brains, and Dmma. So, like, that was 11 new tracks that I was going to listen to. I didn't want to, listen to another one and only get 10 new tracks, So I didn't listen to this one on release day. I really wanted to, but I told myself to wait. And it paid off. I remember hearing it and I was thinking, this is a bit weird, but I was still getting behind it, especially with the chorus. It's one that, like, the lyrics are just bada bing, bada boom, but they make it sound good. And as everyone talks about when talking about this specific track, it sounds so much like So What by Pink, which they could have called this Pink-Eyed Bastard instead of One-Eyed Bastard, which I thought would have been a really funny reference and people probably would have laughed at, but I thought it would have been pretty funny. But like I said, the instrumentals in here is really well done. I really like the guitar work in here. And the chorus, like I said, it's just bada bing, bada boom, but the way that they incorporate it, it's one of the most catchy choruses on the album. I was sober, now I'm drunk again. Dmma is the 5th track on the album and the 3rd single, and this is probably my favorite song off the album. As someone who's struggled with addiction, regardless if it's substances, alcohol, or food, I find myself relating to this track a lot because, I do have some addiction problems, regardless, like I said, if it's alcohol, drugs, or food, and thankfully, I went on a weight loss journey here recently and I've lost over 70 pounds. So food has been a major addiction and I would always binge eat. So like I can relate in that way. And then with the alcohol, I did get a DUI back in November of 2021. And that's something that I'm really regretful for. And I know that I was struggling with alcohol because I used to drink like every day back in the day. And now I drink once a week. If even that anymore. I haven't drank in like 2.5 weeks since my birthday party, but that's beside the point. But it also probably doesn't help that I was drunk when I first heard this. I was like, I really want to hear this because it's Green Day's new song, and I was like, I need to listen to it. And then it's about addiction, Billy Joe's addiction and his struggles with that, and I was like, I find myself relating to that a lot. And then the chorus is just really catchy as well, and this is one that I'm trying to learn on guitar at the moment. I was sober, now I'm drunk again. I know how that is. But yeah, it's a really great track, and it's probably my favorite off the album. There is like 3 that I have in mind that are my favorites, but this is definitely one of them. But like I said, Billy has had his own share of problems, like I Heart 2012. You guys know what I'm saying?
You're gonna give me fucking 1 minute? Look at that fucking sign right there. 1 minute. She's got a bang her head like 1981. She's got a bang her head like 1981.
1981 is the 6th track off the album and the first song that I heard off the album unofficially, because they debuted it at a concert and so you didn't get the best audio out of it. But I do want to give a major shout out to this YouTuber right here, which I listened to his cover for like weeks, to be honest, because it sounded more professional than the actual live concert and those recordings. So like I would listen to his cover for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was obsessed. And now that we have the official version out, at first it didn't really live up to it because I was like, I already heard this. I know what I'm expecting out of this. But as the days went on, I was like, yep, this is definitely one of my favorites off the album, you know? The chorus is so damn catchy. It's one of my favorites. It has this Ramone-esque sound to it, especially in the chorus, and I thought it was one of the best off the album. The lyrics, like I said, throughout the album ain't the best, but if you can make it sound good, then it is a great song, and this is one of them. Goodnight Adeline is the 7th track off the album, and I just want to say, Green Day love songs are very underrated, regardless if it's like When It's Time, Missing You, Hearts Collide, and several others. This one definitely goes up in like the top 3 to 5, somewhere in there. When It's Time is my song to my wife. I love that song. I can relate to it a lot. And this one sort of feels like that part 2, which I'm not complaining because I love that song, and this one is definitely one of my favorites off the album as well. It feels as if this song like expands upon When It's Time, because that one is just a straight up acoustic song, and this one is a bit acoustic, and then the full band comes in and it levels itself out really well, and I think it's one of the best off the album, like I've said already. The melody and vocal pattern in here is very heartwarming, and then that guitar solo is awesome, and then that key change towards the end was also incredible.
Coma City, pull down the shade, board up the windows and drink lemonade.
Coma City is the 8th track off the album, and this song is if Murder City, Static Age, and 99 Revolutions had a kid. I'm not entirely complaining, but I will say the first time I heard this, I was like, yep, that Coma City is really repetitive. They probably say it like 20 to 30 times in this song. I'm not counting it, but if you want to, you can, and let me know in the comments. But this one is probably towards the middle when it comes to the album, but like I said, it's grown on me. I can enjoy it, you know. It's like B-tier material. This song gives off major 21st century breakdown vibes. The album, not the song. Also, the instrumental outro to this song is absolutely fantastic and is probably the best part of the song. Also, really like the line, bankrupt the planet for assholes in space. I was like, that's different and unique, but I'm a fan of it. To be honest, if you took a shot every time they say Coma City, you'd be blackout drunk within like the first minute or two. And I think Mike or Trey's backing vocals, I can't tell who it is, but I really like their addition to the song as well.
Get around, I can get around, fuck it up on my rock and roll. Here we go.
Corvette Summer is the 9th track off the album, and this one gives off dad vibes, okay? This is one that, you know, you and your dad would probably be listening to in the car. You know, it gives off major, like, old school vibes. The lyrics, once again, aren't the best. Lyrics in the chorus, not great. But it is catchy. It is one of my favorites off the album. It's in my top 3, for sure, because of how catchy it is. That chorus gets to me every time. Like I said, the lyrics aren't the best, but the chorus is fantastic. This is one of those songs that, you know, you can drive around to, roll your windows down, and just blare it, because it's one of those type of songs. Also, I never thought I would hear a Green Day song with cowbells in it.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
All I'm saying is that better be Will Ferrell on the cowbells. Whoever was in charge of putting that in the song, I thank you. Like I said, this is probably the most butt rock song on here, but that chorus is infectious, and like I said, it's one of my favorites off the album.
Outside my window there is nothing but a sky.
Susie Chapstick is the 10th track off the album, and I know what I said about Goodnight Adeline, you know, with Green Day love songs are underrated, but I will admit, the first time I heard this one as well, wasn't a fan. It was too cutesy for me, if that makes sense. But I have since come around to this track. and it's definitely up there as one of my favorites in this album. Um, it's not going to be for everyone, okay? It is really cutesy, but I think my wife would probably like this song because she's into that type of music, and that's just the way she is. But this song, if I have only one negative about it, it's him referencing Instagram in the second line, but I'm okay with it, you know? I feel as if this one is like What's Her Name Part 2, because this one is like about someone longing for someone else, and I think this one expands upon that song a little bit, and I'm definitely a fan. But also, this one gives off very Weezer vibes, especially with the vocal harmonies in place.
Shining shades are in the stand. Ever since Bowie died, it hasn't been the same.
Strange Days Are Here to Stay is the 11th track off the album. So once again, there's a pattern to some of these songs. Wasn't a fan at the beginning of it, but once I, got to hear it a bit more, really let these songs flesh out, I was definitely a fan of this one. This one is like mid-tier, sort of towards the bottom, but like I don't think there's been a bad song yet on this album. But this one is very classic Green Day. This and Look Mono Brains are probably like the two most recognizable Green Day type songs, if that makes sense. Also, I feel like everyone can relate to this one because this one, talks about so much that's going on in the world. And, to be honest, the future's looking pretty bleak, but I do love that he name drops David Bowie in here, especially in the first chorus. I thought that was phenomenal. And like he said, the world hasn't been the same since David Bowie died, and I can agree with that, sorta.
Congratulations, best of luck and blessings. We're all together and we're living in the 20s.
Living in the 20s is the 12th track off the album, and the pattern continues. I was not the biggest fan of this song when I first heard it, but as I listen to it more, I'm definitely a fan. And to be honest, I feel as if this is the last of the good songs on here. The next three I'm not the biggest fan of, but I'll get into that in a second. I really love the guitar riff in here because it just reminds me so much of classic Green Day. The guitar solo in here is pretty rad, and I think the scream that he ends off the song with just gives off very, very heavy horseshoes and hand grenades vibes, and the chorus sort of reminds me of Oh Yeah, but like a better version of that song.
Well, I made a few mistakes, but I'll never break your heart, I promise. Father to a son.
Father to a Son is the 13th song off the album, and like I said, from here on out, I'm not the biggest fan of these songs. They're not bad songs by no means, but these are definitely in the bottom three of my ranking of this album. But yeah, I wish I could relate to this song because, to be honest, I brought this up before, I do not have the best relationship with my dad. I don't get the same emotion out of the song as it's trying to get out of me. Because, like I said, I can't really relate to this song anymore because, like I said, I don't have the best relationship with my dad. I wish the song would bring a tear to my eye, Have a song that you and your dad can relate to and be fans of, but I don't get this song. I don't entirely get that feeling out of the song. The only way that I feel as if this song would change for me is if, me and my dad had a better relationship and we worked on it, or if I become a father to a son. But if we're talking about songs that have heavy fatherhood themes in it, I think Fade In and Fade Out by Nothing More is a better song in that suit. But I do like that this one is sort of like a cross between Time of Your Life and 21 Guns, where it starts out like this acoustic piano type thing, and the whole band comes in later on. I thought that was really well done. But like I said, it just doesn't get that, I don't get that emotion. It doesn't get that emotion out of me like it should, and it's trying to go for. But I see a lot of people in other reviews say that this is one of their favorites, and I'm glad for them, but it's just not for me.
Call it all saviors tonight. Make us all believers tonight.
Saviors is the title track in here and the 14th track off the album. And to be honest, I'm going to make some people mad, but this is the worst song on the album. By far. It's the worst. in my opinion, okay? Which sucks because Green Day title tracks are awesome. Like Warning was pretty good, American Idiot, everyone knows that one. 21st Century Breakdown is pretty good. Revolution Radio is okay. Father of All has grown on me, the song. And that one's okay as well. But this one is definitely the worst title track of any Green Day album, in my opinion. I hate that the verses in here have that outdoor mic filter on it. You know, I wouldn't have minded if it was just the first verse and then, you know, the chorus cleaned it up. But they just went back and forth. You know, verse had that outdoor mic filter to it, and then the chorus was regular, then just went back and forth, and it did get on my nerves, and I couldn't understand him half the time. Also, there's a melody in the bridge in here, which I couldn't figure out what it was, but now it's Champagne Supernova by Oasis, which, if Oasis knows about that, they're probably going to try and sue again, because you know how Boulevard of Broken Dreams went, especially when compared to Wonderwall. Now they're going to get that little 5-second clip in there and try to copyright that or file a lawsuit or something. I don't know. Champagne Supernova is definitely the better song. But if I have to give a positive in here, it's definitely that guitar solo. I thought it was pretty well done. And I preferred this guitar solo over the next track we're going to talk about.
Go, falling like a yo-yo, paradise for locals.
We were talking Fancy Sauce, which is the last track on here, the 15th track on here. And to be honest, I don't know why this song is called Fancy Sauce. To be honest, I don't know why half the other songs are named the way that they're named, you know? I'll be honest, the first time I saw the track list in here, I was sort of turned off. I'm like, there's no way that half of these songs are going to be as good. This is probably going to be like Father of All Part 2, which I'm sort of contradicting myself because I gave Father of All an 8 out of 10 almost 4 years ago. Don't ask. Okay, I don't know if it was like a recency bias type thing, or I was like, I respect that they're experimenting, which I still do, but like, I don't go back to the album that much, and if I do, there's only 2 or 3 songs that I still listen to. You know, first time I heard this, you know, I thought this was like the second worst, and it still might be. I've come around to it a little bit. It's still like, probably like C tier, you know? It's not good, it's okay, definitely better than Saviors, but one of the weakest off the album, for sure. I don't know why they ended it this way. I like that this song builds, but I feel as if they could have ended this album with either Goodnight Adeline or Susie Chapstick. Some people might say Father to a Son, but like I said, I'm not a big fan of that song either. But they could have ended with Goodnight Adeline or Susie Chapstick, and I would have been satisfied. I'm not entirely satisfied with this ending. But also, that guitar solo at the very end, I don't like it. They could have just took that echo effect off, and it would have been a lot better. I think that's what ruined this song for me, to be honest. You know, I hate the filter that they have on the guitar solo. I just thought it was horrid, a bit disgusting. I don't know why they did that. I would have enjoyed the song a bit more, you know. But if I had to say anything positive about here, I do like the verses in here. They're pretty good. The chorus, it grew on me. It is solid, but it's not great. But if you're a fan of it, I totally get it. I do like that this song builds, but it just doesn't really pay off for me. But with that said, let's get into my final thoughts for this album. And like I said, with Green Day being my favorite band of all time, there is a bit of bias in here, you know, regardless if I waited a week or not. But I am a fan of this record. Like I said, I enjoy all the songs up until the last 3. So with that being said, I'm going to be giving Saviors by Green Day an overall grade of an 84%. Which is pretty funny because I gave Father of All an 8 out of 10. But I do need to give that album another chance because it has been some time. It may grow on me, I don't know, but it has gone quite a bit down in my album ranking of their albums. But I am happy to announce that I'm going to be going through their entire discography, starting out with 1,039 smoothed out slappy hours. I'm not counting 39 smooth because 1,039 smoothed out slappy hours is their first official full-length album. Probably not going to talk about Shenanigans either because that's a B-sides record, but everything with the name Green Day on it and as an actual studio album, I'm going to be talking about those. And I'm going to be reviewing Father of All again, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to try and do these like every 2 weeks because, like I said, Green Day's my favorite band of all time, and I wouldn't mind going through their entire discography again because I might have some hot takes, including the trilogy. But like I've said before, thank you for watching. Thank you for doing everything. It truly does mean a lot with me. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.